I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. I want to ask you for a few moments of your time. Now, I've done this in previous segments, but I truly want to ask you. I'm not asking you for any money. That's not what I'm asking you for. I want something more precious than your money. I want your time, and I want you to give it, even though I'm going to say some things that perhaps that might offend you or might offend somebody you know, or you might disagree with. And so you're going to have to make a decision, even though you are offended or you don't understand. You're going to give me your time anyway to hear me out. Doesn't mean you're going to agree with me. I've been living in Harlem and preaching in Harlem, the pastor of the same church, the longest job I've ever had in my life. I've had this one job for 40 years. I wake up every morning in Harlem. I'm an ex-convict. I was convicted in the state of Florida for burglary on Miami Beach, and I was sentenced 3 years in Rayford, a Union Correctional Facility prison. I was convicted here in the state of New York, out in Brooklyn, for armed robbery and was sentenced to 10 years and spent some time up in Dannemora and Auburn and Comstock. But I have since been running for the Lord. I know what it is to be a black man or a Negro or colored. I understand that clearly. And so I want to talk to you about why that particular designation, although many people try to laud it, it truly is despised and a failure among those who have been identified as such. I want to explain to you out of the depths of my heart the love that I have for my Hamite brother, but I want to now take you to, by way of a visual, perhaps the most famous so-called black or African-American leader on the stage today. His name is Al Sharpton. And I want to show you his show you his office on 145th Street. But I want the engineer to bring up the emblem that he uses for his organization that he declares is a national organization. And Mr. Engineer, if you could bring that up, I just want to go over a couple of things as I have expressed. Now, there's also some lettering that goes along with that emblem that he uses that we have gone ahead and made some statements regarding this most famous, most powerful so-called black leader in America today. But I want to talk to you why that is a misnomer. Black is loathed. The color and designation of black is loathed by black people, and it is a failure as a racial or spiritual identity. But this is right now he is the most famous. And just to give you some idea where we're going to go, remember I asked you a few moments ago for your time. I confess to you who I am and who I was when I was a black man. I confess my failures. But I put this NAN and I raised the question of what does it mean? Does it mean Negroes against Negroes? Does it mean Negroes ain't Negroes? Number 3, does it mean nothing action Negroes or nothing action network? Or does it mean nasty ass Negroes? You can obviously decide what it means on your own. But I wanted to take my first punch at this, if you will, charlatan that is misleading black people. And as a result of it, we are suffering so much failure. I also want to do one other thing. Thank you, Mr. Engineer. I want to explain to you, and again, you may be offended by the things that I'm going to say. I realize that was a punch at Al Sharpton, but the things that he does to both black and white America, what that punch pales in comparison to the destruction that he does to both black and white America. I'll come back to him. I want to say something to you about black people that they don't want to be black. Now, they talk about black this, black that, but they don't want to be black. And the truth of the matter is they aren't black in terms of a geographical, physical, if you will, color designation. And we'll talk about why they're a mahogany or teas and tan or some other color, but they're not black. There's not one black person on the planet, not black. But I want to share something with you about the misnomer about black people. And back in the 1990s, there was a movie produced called Coming to America. And the theme behind this movie of Coming to America was one of the biggest lies perpetrated, bigger than the lie, if you will, of Roots and Alex Haley. This lie of Coming to America, but it was a truth to those who understand, indicated that somewhere in America there was this place called Zamunda, this royal national African city and nation and capital that was just flourishing with all of the good things that you find in the Japheth or the Jewish nations. And in Zamunda, this very powerful, very wealthy, very peaceful place of Africa, the young prince named Hakeem wanted a wife. And the insult that I discovered here about Hakeem is that he didn't think that any of the African women, now Zamunda was a myth, and for them to build a story, they couldn't really find a city in Africa that really is flourishing, that is powerful, that is indeed a Zamunda. There is no Zamunda on the nation, in the nation of Africa, and that is clear. So they had to fix, and black people have not built one. In all the years they've walked upright on planet Earth, they have built no Zamunda. So that was a fictional farce, but we'll let that go. But what it gets worse in the Coming to America movie, Hakeem, the prince, declares that no African young woman is suitable for him. He needs to find someone not in Africa. The African women don't cut it. You may have remembered this one African king, competing king, brought his daughter who was dancing and barking like a dog. But Hakeem says these African women don't cut it. So he has to come to America. I mean, the fact that that movie got away with discounting the women in Africa as not being qualified, it is par for the course the way the house Negroes now obfuscate and how they throw down on black folk by saying they're not qualified, that they don't make the cut, that they're not good enough. Are you listening to what I'm saying? That movie said that no woman in Africa was good enough. He had to come to New York to find someone, because so that's what the house Negroes do to all 30 million or 35 million black people, that they're not good enough. And to some degree, they've not built anything. They've not. So Hakeem had to come to New York City to find all the women in Africa. He had to cross the pond. That's an insult. That should have never been allowed to be published as a fact. And people just laughed and laughed and laughed at it. But it's true. Africa is the lowest continent, the poorest continent, the sickest continent on the planet. So the King Jeffrey and Prince Hakeem had to come to America because there's no women in Africa. But that ain't all. I want to show you as well, black people obfuscate. They don't really like being black. They talk about it. They had a slogan back in the 70s, they're black and they're proud. But that was a lie. That was a lie from the pit of hell. But now they're trying to, more recently, over the last few years, last decade, they had this movie called Black Panther. Now, remember, I am here expressing to you, as a man who's lived the life of a black man, I wake up in Harlem to the curses and the loud music every morning. I've been doing it for 40 years. I will not leave Harlem. I live here. I live here because I love living here among the people. I told you about my youth and once I was black and crying black power, the things that I did in terms of the destructive life that I lived. But Black Panther is a ripoff. If you ask me, and I'm talking and you're listening, to me, Black Panther movie was a ripoff of Tarzan. Some of y'all too young probably to remember Tarzan, but Tarzan was this white superstar in Africa, swinging on vines and, beating up everybody and, having the power of magic and all that other kind of stuff over all the Africans. And, he was born and raised by apes and all that kind. The Black Panther, there is no black hero. This was a flat out lie. That there is no Black Panther. There is no black hero. This was a flat out lie trying to promote the fact or cover up the truth that black people ain't never done nothing like that. They've never had a hero like that. There's nowhere. Now, I do have to say some African history will give you, there were some times, of course, among the Mandingos, and some of the Zulus were able and were proud fighters, but nothing on the order of what the Black Panther movie tried to portray. And really what it was saying is that this is really a ripoff of the Tarzan movie of Africa years ago. One more, and I'm going to let y'all go, and that is if you will, the Black Adam. Now, the whole thing is here. Black people, because they really don't like being black, they're trying their best to say that black is beautiful because, they want everything. They want Black Panther. Now they've tried to change, and what they've done, they blaspheme against the Bible. They got one out there now called Black Adam. You remember Adam of the Bible? You remember him? Well, now they're saying this Adam, that the Adam of the Bible, it goes back and forth between, heaven and earth, and the same as Africa. Black Panther went forth between America and Africa. It's all fictitious because there are no characters. There are no black people who have risen to the kind of power or nation building of Zamunda or Black Panther. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. So what the studios have done is that they've realized that to get young people back into the theaters again is come up with all these black movies, making these fictitious black heroes. But go you one better. They also want to paint, because black people really don't like being black. They don't. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've been black in that regard. I've been all my life. Now, they're Hamites, and I'll get to that. But I can tell you, I will not lie to you, they don't, even though they talk about Black Lives Matter, the last place where a black person's life matter is in the community of a black community. That's the last place. Now, his life might matter if he's living in a white community. But I'm going to tell you the God honest truth. Chris Rock was right. The last place that a black person, man, woman, a child, the last place that a black person's life matters is in black community. That's the last place. Because black folk don't like being black. There's this self-loathing. Now, I have the answer, and I don't know whether you're going to listen to me any further. I told you when I first drove up that you're probably going to be offended by some of the things I said. I told you that, and I want you to understand that even if you are offended, don't leave yet. Just let me keep on offending you, but you don't have to agree with me. But at least you can be informed. There's somebody out there that's telling the truth or telling an untruth, whether your decision about black people, and you might need to listen to him. But if you don't want to listen to him, then we need to listen to what the people in the movie theaters are doing, is because black people don't have no heroes. They're making the Black Panther a Tarzan and making the Black Adam, whatever it is, because black people really don't have no major heroes. Now, I'm not to say that the Zulus did not find some valiant fighters, or the Mandingos as well, but in truth, there are no larger than life black heroes. So you got Black Panther, which is a ripoff of Tarzan. I've repeated that now, and you know that. And then you got this new movie called Black, if you will, Adam, which is a ripoff and blasphemy against the Bible. Here, I need to tell you this as well, is that the movie industry is looking to make money off of this, and they realize that a whole lot of these young people are Xbox, black people are Xbox, so all of this fictional kind of flying through the air stuff attracts them into the movies. They're making money. They're selling you a bunch of lies. and then the rap artists as well. But the black man is he is the lowest on the totem pole. Now I'm going to arrive at a point someplace in this discussion where I'm going to tell you that God has chosen him and that God's going to raise him up and that God is Son Almighty, a mouthful of blessings to him. I'm going to tell you that. But right now, across the planet, he's the lowest on the totem pole. He has no Zamundas. I mean, even in Vietnam, they got Ho Chi Minh City. I mean, don't go to Qatar or Dubai or Paris or London or to Brighton. Don't go to New York. But the black man he doesn't have that, and he's never built anything. Now, I don't say that because I'm full of hate or that I am trying to discourage anyone from or trying to destroy. I think is the word, not discover, but destroy. I don't say it for those reasons. I say it because the answer and the fact that he's now being called by God to stand in a large place, to actually have a Zamunda. He can actually have a Zamunda right here in Harlem, is what God is calling. But we have to realize that after 400 years here in America, Mr. Engineer, we have a piece that was done by Brother Honaker and Captain David Lewis. And I want you to bring up the images. I want to just point up something. And again, you may be terribly offended by what I'm saying. And you may try to counter with, yes, the black man has. Have you heard about Dr. Hale and open heart surgery? Haven't you heard about Madam J.C. Walker? And on and on and on and on. But listen, coming to America said that for Hakeem to find a wife, had to come to America, all the women in Africa. And then they put this one woman up there, she's a daughter of a king, made her bark like a dog, made her look stupid. How on earth did y'all let that movie get past? And it's still a #1 movie that put the black woman down. And by the way, let me say this to you as well. You know, that movie has this black prince, this woman, she's the daughter of a king. Hakeem had her barking and dancing and carrying on, and then Hakeem just wrote off all the black women on the entire continent of Africa, and had to come to Queens, New York, and find his wife. Why y'all let that happen? Why you don't even think of what you are doing to yourselves, but you let it happen. But years ago, back in 2007 and 2008. I said, if we're going to have a black president, he need to come out of a black woman. Now, you can call him black if you say black, even though he came out the womb of a white woman, you can say black. But I couldn't accept a black president coming out the womb of a white woman. And I screamed to the top of my voice, why y'all gonna let this big honor of the first black president come out the womb of a white woman? What's wrong with y'all? But that's the same thing that's in coming to America. That no black woman qualifies for Hakeem. So when he married one from McDowell's or something. But you get the idea. I screamed to the top of my voice, y'all gonna let this first black president, why y'all don't give that honor to a black woman? Hakeem said there's no black woman in Africa that can marry me, so he had to come to America and get one that looks like she. Well, anyway, you get the idea. So I wanted to be able to say this. I want you to hear me out. I just want a few more minutes of your time, if you don't mind. This is not a joke. What's happening with black people? Mr. Engineer, bring it up full screen as well, if you will. We've been in America as black men in America for 400 years. These photos were taken last summer. These photos were taken after the 8-year presidency of Barack Obama. These are black people in Harlem. After 400 years, these are black people in Harlem, in America's flagship city for black. These are photos. That's me and my wife and my marble pulpit church praying for this atrocity after 400 years in New York City. Look at that. After having a first black president, look at that. Look at that. Look at it. Look. And I'm gonna get to the House Negroes that is, if you will, sanctioned this. But after 400 years, after having the first black president, after having 2 black mayors in New York City, this is what the black man has come to. This should not be, you say, Pastor Man, that's just a small segment of society. It's a relevant segment of society. And you need to stop wiping these people off as being a small segment of society. But that's what we come to. 400 years. 400 years. I want you to show you something. Look at these two men. This is the last summer. Look at this. After a first black president. Look at this. Look at this. I am expressing here is my deep love and my passion. The truth is, after 400 years, is that we are now in worse position than we were when we were slaves. That's the truth being told. And the issue is, as well, is that we have expected the government. Well, we have a government of house Negroes now, maybe about 300 or so house Negroes that manage the other 30 to 35 million Negroes. And some of them are middle class, some of them have a decent job, some of them have worked for the government, the transit authority, the post office, and they've got an income and a retirement and a health benefit program. But a whole lot, nearly 60% of black people in America are at the poverty level. And I want to try to explain something that's probably a new concept, so it might be difficult for you to really and fully, completely understand. But 150 years after slavery and the 400 years of black folk being in America, there's a government system of government of black people and managing their misery called the House Negro. Now listen to me very carefully. I told you may be offended by some of the things I've said. But the government system of management of so-called black people who don't want to be black, who run away from black as soon as they can. The most dangerous place for a black person on planet Earth is to live in a black community. So they don't want to be black, and black ain't beautiful. They need to understand that, but they lie. And so they get these 300 or so house Negroes to manage the rest of us. And you got some pictures of them up on the screen. But at present, we got maybe 30, 35 million black folk that, and all these are house Negroes. There's a whole lot more of them. The breakdown, if you will, Mr. Engineer, leave it just like that's good. The breakdown, no, I'm good. The breakdown is this, is that there are approximately 100 house Negroes. Now you got over 30 million black people or Africans or colors. Now they're Hamites. That's the name that God has given them, and that's the name that they have roundly rejected. But they're Hamites. They're not black, they're not Negro, and they're not African American. They're Hamites. But listen to this government. Listen to how black people are governed. There's the American government and the Constitution of America, and then there is the black governance program called the House Negro. And there are approximately 100 or 300 house Negroes in all of America, and of the 30, 35 million so-called black people. Now they're Hamites. They are governed by some minute number of house Negroes, and approximately 100 house Negroes are in politics, whether it be the mayor of San Francisco or the mayor of Los Angeles, mayor of Houston, mayor of New York, mayor of Atlanta. Or maybe they're in Congress, maybe right now you got 2 house Negroes in Senate. You got one on the Republican side, you got the other on the Democrat side. These house Negroes, right? When you see that shiny object, well, we go, look, we got a black man. Ooh! They're just house Negroes. They're just glorified house Negroes, a shiny object to make you think that somehow life is better. But I just showed you men are still sleeping on the street. In modern day America, the year 2022, you got men by the thousands sleeping in the street and women and children by the thousands in shelters in New York City. But they're managed by so the whole thing is, ooh, look how we got black president. Ooh, we got black Ketanji Brown Jackson judge. Ooh, but they're just house Negroes. They're here to manage the madness. They're not here to uplift. They're here to manage. And then, of course, you got another 100 house Negroes in entertainment and sports, I suppose, You would have 100 in sports. You got a lot of house Negroes can play sport. They can run. They can spear chuck. Now, I know y'all don't like that, but that's what they do. They can spear chuck. They can shoot a three-pointer. They can throw that football. They can spear chuck. They're good at sports. And so you got 100 or so, and they're living, in $34 million house like LeBron James. Got a $34 million house out in Beverly Hills, a $20 million house in Brentwood. They're spear chuckers. But they're also house Negroes. And then you got 100 or so house Negroes in entertainment, people like Jay-Z, he and Beyonce, living in an $88 million house in Bel Air. So even though you have these men sleeping on the street, I showed you a few moments ago, and the shelters are running over, the prisons are brimming at being fulfilled, after 400 years, black people don't have a zamunda. And the black woman is put down by the black man who flies to America to find his bride. And that's in modern day America after 400 years, after the management of these 300 or so house Negroes. And these 300 house Negroes, people look up, tell them, oh, Lord, look at that. Oh, there's Don Lemon. Oh, we must be doing good. Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness. We got black people. They got a black man on television. Look at that black man doing the, oh, got a black woman judge. They're just house Negroes. They're just house Negroes. While the rest live at the bottom of the world. People in Cambodia, every place else, you don't see this kind of madness of where black folk are living. Mr. Engineer, bring up a short scene of these two men out in the street, lost as they can possibly be. But they for the black man. That's the black man. Yeah. And Obama, they president. That's Obama, they president. They wouldn't walk across the street and shake Pastor Manning's hand. These two black men, Obama, their president. This was taken last summer, my friends, in modern day America. Thank you, Mr. Engineer. I want to state, and I thank you that you've been so generous with your time so far. The ultimate house Negro, of course, is Al Sharpton. We showed you his, if you will, his nothing action network. He's the ultimate. But I want to just close with this. There is an answer, and God has sent it. You're not going to see, first of all, we got to acknowledge Genesis chapter 9, verse 19 through 29, where God pronounced and said that we were going to be slaves here in America. God said it. It may not be popular, it may not, but you'll never hear a preacher except for me say it. We got to acknowledge it. You cannot run away from the prophecy of God. And so as a result of it, we're doing worse than we've ever done in America. And they keep putting these shiny objects up there, these house Negroes, to make the world think that somehow another life for black people is better. That's the first thing. So we got to acknowledge Genesis. We got to embrace it and say we were here as slaves because God sent us here. And then we have to, maybe prior to that, recognize the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 32, where it says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And the truth is, we don't have any black heroes. The truth is, we don't. Our black hero was Tarzan, and so the Black Panther is a ripoff. We don't have any Zamundas. We don't have any Zamundas. We don't have any beautiful, beautiful African cities flourishing. We don't have one nowhere on the continent of Africa. We don't have one. We don't have no Zamundas. We had to lie and say we got a Zamunda, but we don't have one. Now, I'm not saying it because I'm littered with hate. I'm saying because we could have one. Hey, we could have, Harlem could be our Zamunda. But we've been sold out by the likes of Al Sharpton, David Dinkins, Charles Rangel, and a bunch of other house Negroes. And then we've been ignorantized. We've been ignorantized by the shiny object. We've been ignorantized, kept poor, stupid, and dumb, and not hearing what God's word. Our freedom does not come from the vote. Our freedom comes from the truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Now, they don't want me talking to you. They don't want me talking to you. They don't. They don't want this truth that I speak, because and until this truth is embraced, we ain't gonna never have a Zamunda. And until this truth is, we ain't gonna never be free. The vote don't make you free. A black president doesn't make you free. You ain't free. We need the truth. And that's what I got in my mouth. I got a word in my mouth. Now, a couple of things that we need to do. One is that we need to take back Harlem and identify ourselves. Well, first of all, stop calling ourselves black. Because everybody knows that, listen, let me tell you something. Years ago, you call somebody black, that's fighting words. That's fighting words. You in school, you black so-and-so, that's fighting words. That's how we feel about being black. It's fighting words. Now they try to color it up, they try to cover it up, they try to, make it a shiny object, but it's still in the hearts of the black folk. Black folk don't want to be black. And nobody in their right mind wants to be that. And we're not black. That's fighting words. It's the truth. It's the truth. Now they put together a program. Now the movie industry is trying to also glamorize black by making a black Tarzan and calling him the Black Panther. They're not but a ripoff of Tarzan and call it a Black Panther. So we can now glorify being black. It still ain't good. Black still ain't beautiful. It still ain't beautiful. It ain't beautiful. Now, Black Adam. And now they want Jesus to be black. I saw so many people telling me, why don't you put a black Jesus on the wall? Well, he ain't black. So the first thing we got to do is hear the truth. That's the first thing. So check it out. Look at it from this perspective. You got 300 house Negroes being paid good money. They are being paid millions, if not billions of dollars to keep all y'all thinking we're doing good. You get this man on the street, sleeping on the street, look up at television, or somebody that's a television outside the screen. He look up and see Jay-Z living in the house. He makes him think he's doing good. The Negro ain't got no place to sleep at night. His children are sleeping in the shelter. He look up and say, LeBron James sleeping in the 34 million. That means he say, we doing good now? Are we doing good? Did we get there yet? We doing good now? LeBron James, he's sleeping in a shelter. Shiny objects. Obfuscation. Bamboozlement is what a black president. Come out a white woman. Come out the womb of a white woman. Y'all, if this offends y'all, I've said this might offend you beyond anything else I've said to you that would offend you, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway, and I'm going to ask you to forgive me if you think this is a little bit risque and a little bit offensive, over the top offensive. The history says that these white men killed Emmett Till because he's talking to a white woman. It ain't funny. And it's true historically, because he was, whistling at a white woman. They had a thing going on, this Emmett Till and this white woman. But the thing of it is that the white man won't protect this woman from the black man. That's right. That's why Emmett Till issue jumped off, because he wanted to protect this woman from the black man. And for you to say that Obama is a black man inside of a white woman means that they should have lynched Obama the moment somebody said they should have lynched Obama the moment somebody said he was in a white woman. Lynch him! He ain't got no business being in our white women. A black man and a white woman, lynch Obama! Now, I'm not saying lynch the president. I'm giving you some parody. I'm giving you some hyperbole. I'm giving you some. I'm not calling for the lynching of the man. I'm trying to tell you the absurdity of it all. It is absolutely the only thing that's going to set you free is the truth. That's number one. When we have to confess that Jesus is Lord, and that the Word of God said that in Genesis chapter 9, we would be slaves. It's all over with anyway. We need to confess it. And we need to start calling ourselves Hamites rather than black, rather than Africa. Everybody giving us all these names. Next week, every name you can possibly find, we're running it But the truth is that black one is the one we really don't. Those are fighting words. Though you call somebody a black person, those are fighting words, and we know it is because the stigma of being black is so loathed. And then finally, we need to take back Harlem. Why don't we make Harlem a Zamunda? Why can't Harlem be a Zamunda? But the truth is as well, we don't have any Zamundas. We don't have any, nowhere on planet, on God's green earth, do we have a Zamunda. So Jay-Z moves to Bel Air. His Zamunda is Bel Air. The white people Zamunda. LeBron James moves to Beverly Hills. And they're all, the president of Black Lives Matter buys a $15 million house in the white Zamunda. Because on the entire planet, from north to south to east to west, black people don't have a Zamunda. And neither do they have a national hero. Because they're looking at the shiny objects and they have been bamboozled by all these house Negroes. I'm repeating myself now. These house Negroes get paid big money to make that man sleeping on the street think that black people have arrived. Listen, Jay-Z is living and he and Gap Goody Legs, Beyonce is living in an $88 million. Well, we black people, we made it. Meanwhile, he's sitting down in the soup kitchen and sleeping on a cardboard box. Because the black mind can easily be bent that way. You can manipulate him and make just because Ketanji Brown, and by the way, Ketanji Brown Jackson is married to a white man. She don't want to be married to no black people either. And Clarence Thomas married to a white woman. They don't want to be married to nobody black. That's how they got on the Supreme Court. If their husbands were black, if her husband was black, Ketanji Brown would have never made it. The shiny objects, the misdirection, the lies. We have no Zamunda. Yes, we have no Zamunda. We have no Zamunda nowhere on planet Earth. Yes, we have no Zamunda. We have no Zamunda on planet Earth. Black people have no Zamunda. They even gave up their Harlem. Black people have no Zamunda. And they gave up Harlem to the white man. Black people and their shiny objects are managed by 300 house Negroes. These house Negroes in Congress and politics and entertainment and in sports. Yes, we have no Zamunda. But Pastor Manning wants to establish Harlem as our first. Yes, we can have a Zamunda. We take back Harlem from the thirsty, bloodthirsty bankers. Yes, we can have a Zamunda. We take back Harlem from the bloodthirsty bankers. Yes, yes, we can have a Zamunda. And yes, quietly, humbly, yes, we can have a hero who is not a capitalized Negro. Yes, we can have a hero. For Pastor Manning is not a house Negro. Yes, he can be our hero. For he is not a house Negro. Yes, we can have a black leader, not after the likes of Tarzan, but after the likes of King David, the great, great man of God. Yes, we can have a Zamunda right here in Harlem, New York, that God has named ATLAH, the land where the people shall walk barefoot. Yes, Pastor Manning can be our hero because he is not a house Negro. Yes, yes, yes. I want to thank you for your time today. I do. There is a, if you will, social media platform that's made a determination that the truth that I speak is dangerous. It's dangerous. And they've done everything possible to keep it from being shared. But will you share this message? Will you share it with those that you know, both friend and foe? Because we don't have to have fictional Tarzan ripoffs in Black Panther. And we don't have to rip off the Bible and blaspheme against Adam. We can have a true, righteous Hamite as our hero, and we can have a Zamunda here in Harlem. Thank you so very much for your time. Very precious. I owe you one for listening to me.